Adaobi shouted sharply across the sunlit hall, Neka. Why is my breakfast cold? Her voice echoed against polished walls, and the maids froze, trembling. Outside, the city's hum continued, unaware of the storm inside. Adaobi lounged on the velvet couch, scrolling through her phone, utterly indifferent. Nothing had ever been too much trouble for her. Water spilled. Someone cleaned it. Clothes wrinkled. Someone ironed them. Food late. Apologies followed instantly. She had grown believing the world existed solely to serve her. At school, arrogance followed her. Teachers' voices barely reached her ears. Chukwuma and Ifunanya had sent her to the city's finest school, but rules were for others. She arrived late, left early, and laughed when questioned. Classmates whispered, envy, dislike, but Adaobi noticed nothing. Each disobedience proved her power, confirming her parents' wealth shielded her from consequences. Yet, whispers grew louder, and judgmental eyes followed her. That afternoon, Nkaruka, a family friend, visited. Adaobi rolled her eyes at her seat and snapped, "Why are you sitting there?" Silence fell. Chukwuma's face darkened, Ifunanya's hands trembled. Adaobi shrugged, oblivious. After Nkaruka left, Chukwuma said quietly, "Something must change." Ifunanya nodded, swallowing the lump in her throat. Their daughter, proud and careless, needed a shock to save her from herself. That night, Adaobi hummed softly in bed, unaware a storm was gathering, a storm that would uproot her life. Chukwuma paced the polished floors of their living room, voice low but heavy with worry. "Ifunanya, we have spoiled her. She doesn't listen, she doesn't respect anyone." Ifunanya sat on the couch, clutching her hands, memories of the sweet little girl who once loved bedtime stories flooding her mind. "I know," she whispered. "I tried speaking, warning, crying, nothing works." The city lights glinted through the large windows, but the glow did nothing to lighten the shadow pressing on their hearts. They recalled the incident with Nkaruka. The way Adaobi had snapped, laughed, and dismissed every word haunted them. Friends whispered in church. Maids quit in silence. The shame was growing unbearable. Chukwuma's jaw tightened. She needs to learn responsibility. Discipline. Something drastic. Ifunanya's heart quivered. Boarding school, strict, distant, and intimidating, was the only solution. But how would Adaobi take it? How would she survive being taken from the comfort she believed she owned? Later that evening, they called Adaobi. She strolled down the stairs lazily, phone in hand, barely noticing them. "Mommy, what's for dinner?" she asked casually. Ifunanya's chest tightened. "Adaobi, we need to talk about your future," Chukwuma said firmly. Adaobi shrugged, voice lazy. "Okay, about what?" The calmness in her tone made both parents exchange glances. They knew the coming words would shatter the world she had always known. That night, Adaobi slept peacefully, unaware her parents had made a decision that would change everything. The city faded behind Adaobi as the car rolled through towering gates. Sapil House was silent, orderly, its walls weathered but commanding. Adaobi's hands tightened around her bag handle. No maids to carry boxes. No servants to respond instantly. The smell of disinfectant was sharp, the corridors echoing with strict footsteps. Students moved in line, eyes forward, voices silent. Shock prickled her skin. This was not a home, this was a world that demanded submission. Nena, the matron, walked toward her, calm and precise. "Carry your box properly," she said without turning. Adaobi struggled, muttering under her breath. "They should have given a trolley." Nena stopped, studying her face. "What did you say?" Adaobi swallowed, feigning silence. The name Sapil House suddenly felt heavy in her chest. Inside, the dormitory was arranged perfectly. Beds in rows, shoes aligned, trunks placed neatly. "That is yours," Nena said, pointing to a bed near the door. "Why near the door?" Adaobi asked, frowning. "So you learn to wake quickly," Nena replied. Adaobi opened her mouth to argue but stopped. There was something in Nena's eyes that forbade it. 10 minutes to change for assembly, 10 minutes to adjust to a world with rules. As Adaobi stood in silent lines with other students, the first assembly began. The bell rang sharply. Every sound was measured. Every step precise. Adaobi's pulse raced. She had left comfort, and now discipline loomed over her like a shadow she could not escape. Adaobi refused to sweep the dormitory floor, laughing bitterly at the prefect's calm insistence. "You must be joking," she said. The prefect's smile did not falter. "I am not," she replied. Nena had been watching, her face calm but piercing. Adaobi's first offense earned her extra duties, hours under the sun, sweeping, cleaning, and missing meals. At home, she had been untouchable. Here, defiance brought immediate consequence. Tears pricked Adaobi's eyes that night, though no one could see. She missed her velvet couch, her servants, her freedom. She tried her old tricks, rolling eyes, sarcastic comments, sharp laughter, but each act was met with measured discipline. Slowly, a seed of awareness planted itself. The rules here were different. They were not arbitrary, they demanded respect. Small victories followed. Adaobi learned to wash her uniform properly, fold her clothes neatly, and greet peers politely. Yet every day brought challenges. Ugochi, a jealous senior, tested her patience, provoking arguments and spreading whispers. Adaobi faltered but remembered Nena's silent gaze, an unspoken command to choose patience over pride. That night, lying on her bed, Adaobi stared at the ceiling, her heart pounding. She had faced her first shock, and the world she had always known was gone. But deep inside, a question lingered: could pride be softened without breaking? Days blurred into weeks, and Adaobi began noticing small, uncomfortable truths about Sapil House. Tasks she had once mocked, making beds, washing clothes, sweeping the dormitory, now felt heavy, yet unavoidable. Nena's eyes followed her calmly, never raised in anger, but waited with expectation. For the first time, Adaobi realized effort mattered more than wealth. The silence of the school, once oppressive, began to teach her patience. Peer interactions brought both joy and challenge. Amora, a kind-hearted girl from another house, offered subtle guidance, helping Adaobi fold her uniform correctly. "You're improving," Amora whispered, a small smile encouraging her. But not everyone was pleased. Ugochi watched, sharp and calculating, jealousy flickering in her eyes. Adaobi caught it, but for the first time, she resisted the urge to lash out. Instead, she paused, breathed, and smiled politely. The simple act shocked her peers. At night, after long prep hours and chores, Adaobi lay on her bed, exhausted and frustrated. For the first time, she felt the unfamiliar ache of humility. But growth was slow. One slip, an angry word, a sarcastic laugh, was met with Nena's firm but fair consequences. Through sweat, discipline, and quiet observation, Adaobi began learning that respect was earned, not demanded. Yet, despite her small victories, a shadow lingered. Could she maintain this change, or would old pride reclaim her? Inter-house chores week arrived, and the dormitories buzzed with tension. Each house was assigned a section of the school to clean, and tempers flared. Adaobi, now appointed a group leader, felt a flicker of unease. In the past, she would have shouted, insulted, or ordered others around. Today, she hesitated, then spoke calmly. "Let's finish this together, so we can rest." A junior whispered, Is this really Adaobi? The work was not easy. A girl spilled water, another argued over brooms. Adaobi's first instinct was to snap, but she remembered Nena's words, patience builds respect. It's okay, Adaobi said, kneeling to help the junior pick up the water. Let's clean it and move on. Slowly, laughter returned to the group, and even small jokes flew around. The task, once a battlefield, became a place of teamwork and quiet satisfaction. But the shadow of jealousy remained. Ugochi watched, plotting subtle mischief. A minor incident, a bucket spilled, a mop left behind, threatened to unravel Adaobi's calm. Her response now would determine whether her transformation was genuine or fragile. She paused, then chose empathy over anger, showing kindness where pride had once ruled. The group finished early, and the seniors nodded in approval, but Ugochi's eyes promised a future challenge. Teachers began noticing Adaobi's change. Her desk, once cluttered with careless notes, was now organized, her responses to questions thoughtful rather than dismissive. Nena nodded subtly when she observed her helping a slower student, correcting mistakes gently instead of scolding. Each small act reinforced the transformation taking root inside her. Pride remained, but it no longer ruled her heart. One afternoon, Nena called Adaobi aside. "You are improving," she said simply. The words struck deeper than any praise Adaobi had received before. She had never been recognized for effort, only entitlement. A warmth spread inside her chest. For the first time, she understood the satisfaction of genuine accomplishment. Yet, Ugochi lingered nearby, whispering rumors, testing her resolve. Adaobi noticed but ignored the provocation, holding her new calm like a shield. Evening fell, and dormitory lights cast long shadows across the neat floors. Adaobi reflected on her journey, the early mornings, the chores, the endless prep. She no longer longed for her old life of ease, the discipline now felt like a strange, valuable treasure. But growth is never complete in a single day. Tomorrow would bring a new test, and Ugochi's plotting hinted that it would not be easy. A crisis arose one rainy afternoon. A younger girl, Ifona, had fallen behind in prep, tears streaking her cheeks. The group around her whispered, unsure how to help. Adaobi knelt beside her, gently placing a hand on her shoulder. "Grades don't define you. Effort does. Let's finish this together," she said. The junior stared, amazed at her patience and understanding. Nena watched from a distance, a faint smile crossing her calm face. Meanwhile, Ugochi attempted a direct challenge, cornering Adaobi behind the dormitory. "You think you're special now," she sneered. Adaobi inhaled deeply, resisting the old reflex to lash out. "I'm just trying to do better," she replied, calm but firm. Ugochi's anger fled, yet Adaobi remained composed, walking away without retaliation. Even the jealous senior began to feel the quiet power of humility, seeing that anger could no longer provoke Adaobi. Leadership grew in small ways. Adaobi helped others, mediated disputes, and guided juniors without demanding respect. Laughter returned to dormitory halls, softer, warmer than before. Her confidence no longer stemmed from fear but from genuine care, proving that discipline combined with empathy could cultivate loyalty and admiration. Yet, the next academic challenge awaited, a test of intellect, not patience, that would reveal whether her growth was complete. The holiday car ride was quiet at first. Adaobi sat upright, bags packed neatly, eyes straight ahead. Chokuma and Ifunanya exchanged glances in the rearview mirror, unsure if this was truly their daughter or a polished performance. When Adaobi finally spoke, her voice calm and polite, "Good afternoon, Mommy," Ifunanya froze, tears pricking her eyes. The city house, once a symbol of indulgence, now seemed smaller, almost fragile, compared to the confidence and humility radiating from Adaobi. Inside the house, she helped with chores unprompted. A broken plate fell one evening, and instead of shouting, she picked it up calmly. "It's okay." "Are you hurt?" she asked the trembling maid. Shock rippled through the staff. Chukwuma and Ifunanya watched silently, hearts light with relief and gratitude. The lessons of Sapil House were visible, tangible, and alive in their daughter. Even at school, the growth had been slow and deliberate, teaching Adaobi that transformation requires effort, patience, and humility. The journey home reminded her of her parents' intentions, the sacrifices they had made to challenge her comfort, and the value of their wisdom. But one question lingered: would the lessons survive the city's familiar temptations? Years later, Adaobi returned to Sapil House, not as a student, but as a mentor. The gates loomed tall, familiar yet different. Memories of fear, tears, and lessons filled her chest. Nena approached slowly, still commanding, still calm. "You came back," she said. Adaobi smiled. "I had to. You changed my life." Nena shook her head gently. "No. You chose to change." Inside the hall, new students listened intently as Adaobi shared her story. "I was once proud and careless. I thought respect was owed, not earned. I was wrong," she began, voice steady. She described her journey through mistakes, discipline, small victories, and forgiveness. The hall was silent, hanging on each word. Adaobi's story resonated because it was real, because change is always hard but always possible. Afterward, she walked the dormitory quietly, noticing girls she once would have ignored, helping them with small tasks. The city girl who demanded obedience had become a young woman who inspired it. Discipline, patience, humility, and care had transformed her. Parents, students, and teachers alike saw the change. Even Ugochi, now repentant, nodded in quiet respect. Adaobi had learned that the hardest decisions often save us, and the truest power comes from kindness, empathy, and wisdom.